Hey guys, it's Chris here, and the first thing I'm going to do on the Evo is changing the valve cover gasket. It had a pretty bad leak, so I want to go over how to remove the valve cover gasket, how to install it, so you can have a leak-free valve cover. So the tools I'm going to be using for this job are ratchets, extensions, sockets, the 10mm sockets, all the bolts are 10mm, gasket scraper, and silicone, and of course the OEM valve cover gasket itself. So the first thing you're going to want to do is basically remove anything that's around the valve cover itself so you can remove it safely. The first thing I did was remove the coil cover, which was right here. I already took it off, but I'm going over all the steps that I took to take it out. 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remove the coil cover, and then after that I went ahead and removed the coils for the spark plug. It's 3 bolts, 3 bolts, 3 bolts, and the other ones just come out loose. They don't have bolts. Remove them, all 4, and then once you have this clear, then what I did was disconnect all the wires that were right here. Disconnect. And then you also have to take the timing belt cover, which was a little bit of a play. I recommend removing, of course, all 4 bolts, and then move this hose to the side. You could take the bolt out, and it should be easier to take out, but you gotta wiggle it and play a little bit with it to be able to take it out. After that, after removing the timing belt cover, I removed the 2 bolts that hold this harness onto the valve cover. It's just 2 easy bolts. Be careful because they may drop down and then it's gonna be hard to find, just like it happened to me. I also removed this hose from the valve cover itself. I also removed this hose right here from the valve cover, and everything else basically. It's just simple. It's all the wiring harness bolts that hold on to the valve cover. Once you have everything clean and nothing attached to the valve cover, what you're going to do to remove the valve cover itself is take 13 bolts. 1, 2, 3, the 3 in the back, 2 on the side, 2 right here, and then the ones that hold the spark plugs basically in the valve cover. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you remove all 13 bolts, what you're going to do is you're going to pull the valve cover out, but you're going to be really careful. Don't pry it in the head or anything like that, because you wouldn't want to damage the head or anything like that. What I did was basically hold it through here. You could get a good gripping point and try to remove it upwards. If it's that stuck, you could use a rubber mallet and just tap it super soft. You don't want to mess anything up. And then once you remove all the bolts, you could just go ahead and lift. I already removed mine, so it's kind of easy. Be really careful. Remove it, and then once you remove it, cover it. You don't want to leave the head open and let any dust or particles inside the head. And I also went ahead and covered the spark plug hose, just so, like, again, no dust or anything like that falls in place. So once you remove the valve cover itself, you're going to want to remove the valve cover gasket. So you could go ahead and just pop it off. And then you're going to want to remove the spark plug gaskets cover for the valve cover. I also bought those. I bought the whole kit. So once you remove those, to clean them, I use a little scraper and a microfiber towel. You could use any product that doesn't harm the metal. Use a microfiber towel and the scraper to remove all the old silicone base and basically just clean it out, leaving it brand new. Try to clean this out really good. I mean, the prep is what's going to help you, have a sealed valve cover. So put some time into this, clean all the edges, and try to perfect it as much as you can so it doesn't leak after. After cleaning the edges of the valve cover itself, you're going to want to go to the head and actually scrape off. Be really gentle with this. I mean, I'm not even putting no pressure. Just scrape off any old silicone or residue, and then just go over it with a microfiber towel and basically clean all the edges itself, basically making sure that it's clean as it could be, and you don't leave no old silicone that maybe somebody else used or maybe you used in the past. And once this is clean and really perfected, and don't get any dust or particles or silicone inside the head, try to clean it going outward. And once it's super clean, then you could go ahead and get ready for the installation. Alright guys, so now we're going to go to the part where I get to install the new valve cover gasket. So I'm going to show you guys where I chose to put the RTV silicone on. I really didn't find anything in the service manual that said specifically where you had to put it on. What I'm going to be using is Ultra Black. Let me see if this focuses. Ultra Black gasket maker by Permatex. So the spots where I chose to put on the RTV silicone are going to be on the corners of the half moon circles, basically on every corner to hold the gasket down, and also a little bit in each spark plug hole gasket, just to hold it down when I put it on the actual car itself. So for this part of the video, I wasn't able to record me actually putting the valve cover on the head. It was really hard to record with having all those cables on the way. So I went ahead and didn't record it. I wanted to do it correctly and safely. But what I basically did was just put the valve cover on the actual head, of course. And then I inserted the bolts from middle going outwards in a zigzag pattern. And I only tightened them by hand. And once I couldn't do it anymore by hand, I let it sit for an hour, as it says in the RTV silicone instructions. And after the 1 hour passes, you're gonna go ahead and torque them down to specifications. After you do that, you're good. You can put everything back together. Just remember that you gotta let the silicone dry out from 24 to 48 hours, usually just 24. But after that, you're good to drive the car and your installation has been done. So I just finished doing the install of the valve cover gasket. I did all the bolts from middle going outward in a zigzag pattern. After I did that, you just tighten them the first time by hand and a little bit tighter. As soon as you see the silicone squeeze out the RTV that I put on, let it sit for an hour, and then you're gonna go ahead and torque them down to specifications. Once you do that and you get all the bolts torqued down and everything, now all I have left is basically just putting all the wiring harness back together, the coils on the spark plugs, and then the coil cover, and that's it. I mean, it's a pretty simple job if you want to do it. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.